210. So I'd like to be off
Ooh, nice.
205. So we'll see. Just make sure my mic is the right one. Yep. All right, 3-2. Welcome back to College Football Addiction. Locked on Big 12 with us today, Drake C. Toll. Some breaking news. We don't often do these breaking news, but I appreciate Oklahoma State making their announcement right before we were set to record. Mike Gundy out. Everybody remembers the rants. I mean, shoot, they were a really good team for a long time too, and a lot of fun. But unfortunately, that era is now over. I'll let you take it away here, Drake.
Man, I love it. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, there's just something on some beach, like insert any of the bro country songs you want to here. I can picture it now, hair flowing in the wind. Mike Gundy is probably he feels like an Orange Beach guy, maybe Seaside possibly. He's sitting there right now with the mullet. He's got a PBR in his right hand or a Bush. I think he likes Bush Tall Boys. And he's just hanging out, dude. This is the best thing possible for Mike Gundy because the infrastructure around him was no longer built for him to succeed. It's as if you've got I've kind of compared it to when I worked for Sports Illustrated, and it's the only job I've been fired from. And I talked about how at the end of my tenure there, I didn't feel like the upper level management had any confidence in me. The listenership or viewership had gone down. My product was failing, and I just couldn't figure it back out. My stuff early on had been really good. That's why they hired me. And then when I got there, after about a year, it became stale. And it's not apples to apples. But if you're a highly successful real estate agent who's sold for 25 years and your last 2 years, your boss is like, hey, by the way, we hate you and we want to give you $0 and we're taking your car away. Like, okay, why would I want to still work for your real estate company? I think this is awesome for Mike Gundy. At the same time, it has felt like for the last now year and a half that Oklahoma State wanted to make a change. They wanted any excuse to make a change. And Mike Gundy said, okay, I'll give you an excuse. I'm going to lose to Tulsa. There will be people who push back on this, like, oh, Gundy's a competitor. Yeah, but at some point, you break the human will. Your spirit is nigh. You're like, all right, dude, if you don't want me here, if your entire goal as an administration, if your entire goal as a donor base is to fire me, then just do it. Now, look, should come as no surprise to anyone. Gundy was shopping other jobs. Within the last 8 years, he had a couple of offers. There were offers on the table in the Big 12 that Gundy would have accepted or that he legitimately pondered. And the same is true for most coaches in college football. They get that right call or the right couple of calls, and they at least get on with the chancellor and the AD, and they talk about it. This reminds me similarly to how Gary Patterson was fired from TCU. And honestly, it worked out really well for Gary Patterson. It worked out really well for TCU in the end because for Patterson, he gets to play 36 holes of golf every day and now has become a really good friend and mentor of mine. And on the other hand, for TCU, they went to the national championship immediately with Sonny Dykes. They were able to rebuild quickly, and they currently have a different chancellor and athletic director from when Patterson was there. So for TCU, you could argue the chancellor and athletic director weren't great fits. They were ousted. They didn't give Gary Patterson a very good support system. Patterson ultimately is gone. And for those three guys, like Patterson got caught up in a really bad administration, and that sucked for him. Gundy got caught up in a really bad administration, and it sucks for him. But because of those three casualties, and Oklahoma State's looking for a new AD, because of those casualties, both at the top and with the football coach, you ultimately got to move into a new era where you could once again be successful. This is really good news for Mike Gundy, and it's really good news for Oklahoma State fans too, I believe. You can just kind of say, hey, we had the wrong administration in place to help you succeed. Sorry, we'll bring you back in 3 years when those guys are gone. We'll give you the orange jacket. We'll build you the statue. We'll apologize. For today, Gundy's ass is in the sand somewhere in the Gulf, and he's having a great time with a beer in his hand, and I can only hope that's the approach of the Gundy family because, yeah, he is. It cannot be disputed. He is Oklahoma State football. He built that entire program. And if you're going to fire him, man, kudos to Mike Gundy. Like you didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that. This is just good for, I think, both parties involved.
I'll get right back to the video, but first, let me tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is the only app you need on your phone during football season, whether that's college football, the NFL, whatever you are watching, whether you're playing in eliminator leagues, whether you're doing weekly pick'ems, whether you've crashed out of your eliminator league already 3 times, you need to rejoin back in, go check out the Sleeper app. Right now, they're hooking you guys up. A 100% deposit match up to $100 if you use our code CFA for college football addiction. You can win up to 1,000 times your money by playing the more or less game with Tom, Cole, and myself on Wednesdays. We'll play that tomorrow. We'll give you the free picks. We'll tell you what all's going on. Make some money with us. Check Sleeper's terms of use because terms and conditions do apply. We appreciate Sleeper for their support. What next for both parties? Do you think Gundy tries to get, you were talking about him searching for other jobs. Do you think he tries to get something else, takes a couple of years off, then tries to get something else, goes the TV route, which would be hilarious, right? And then what for Oklahoma State as well? What's the direction of a coach that they try to look in right now?
I love if Mike Gundy got to TV. Oh,
right next to Nick.
Mike,
right next to Nick.
Dude. So with Locked On Big 12, which is my main source of income, this is me peeling back the curtains. A co-host, obviously you split it 50-50, right? There's one human being on this planet that I would split my entire income with 50-50, and it's Mike Gundy to Locked On Big 12. This is good. If he's fired in the first 3 years of his new deal, he'll get paid $15 million. I can picture it now. He's sitting, driving in Stillwater, Oklahoma in 3 years, where he probably still lives at the time, and he's sitting there with a former player or a buddy of his, and the buddy's like, man, I'm really sorry that happened to you. And he goes, I got $15 million. Like, yeah, it sucks, but there are so many opportunities for Mike Gundy in the next 3 years to just chill out and have a good time. You could tell at Big 12 Media Days, I asked him a couple questions, talked to him briefly there. He's lost the fastball, and again, it's because of the lack of infrastructure at Oklahoma State. He's going to rest for a little bit. I think that's what's next for him. Hopefully he does get back into coaching. Would love to see him. He's 170 wins, 90 losses. Would love to see him go somewhere and get to the 200 mark. That's a guy that deserves it and could probably still do it somewhere that wants him to win. I mean, he could pull the Dan Mullen route and go have a retirement job at UNLV or a place like that after a couple of years off or a couple of years in TV. Then for Oklahoma State, search begins now. I mean, this is a program that last year, Mike Gundy was the 2023 Big 12 Coach of the Year.
Wow.
Like that's what we just did here is crazy. And for them, they have to go replace a guy that recently was the best coach in the Big 12. Maybe Jim Knowles is the next head coach at Oklahoma State. Was a great defensive coordinator there and has moved on to be a spectacular defensive coordinator at the highest levels of college football. Maybe G.J. Kinney down at Texas State deserves a shot now. Maybe Jeff Traylor at UTSA. There are a lot of names being thrown out there. I think Oklahoma State's search begins now, but you're replacing a guy who was just recently good. And there have already been former Oklahoma State players tweeting out, careful what you wished for. So I don't know, is the next guy your Sonny Dykes? Is the next guy going to take you to a national championship next year? I don't think so, but I guess Oklahoma State's looking for the right candidate.
Do you think that with letting go of a legend who had struggled here recently, do you think that there's optimism? Like, will the hire re-energize the fan base, or will there be frustration about him being gone?
The fans were ready for this. The fans have to be. You can't lose Tulsa at home. You can't. Two things can be true. Mike Gundy is the greatest coach in Oklahoma State history, and you can't lose to Tulsa at home. That's your death wish. So fans don't want to keep losing to Tulsa at home. Sure. That on the one hand, it's like, man, I really want Mike Gundy to be my neighbor. I want her to come help me do my yard work. Oh, shoot. There's a black bear in my backyard. Who do I call? Probably Mike Gundy. He can figure it out. That's what the fan base wants. I think it's crazy Uncle Gundy to hang around and be the guy who you just hang out with in the coffee shop for the next 20, 30 years. And you're like, oh, yeah, if you want to see Mike Gundy, go to the coffee shop in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and say hello to him every morning at 7 a.m. That's what they want. They want the best for him, but they want change. I think the fan base is going to be okay.